the shooting range. Hello, friends. It seems like our last anniversary was only yesterday, but today we're celebrating a new one. This is episode 400 of the shooting range. We're grateful to you for staying with us all these years, and we extend our welcome to anyone who's joined recently. It's hard to remember everything we've gone through and everything we've seen together. One thing's for sure, there's many more adventures to come. Make yourselves comfortable and enjoy. In this episode, pages of history, Invisible Ace over the Mediterranean, special, Sensor View and Replays, and Metal Beasts, British Saboteur. We're happy to continue talking about the new vehicles of this spring. Today's highlight is a machine that doesn't really give away its value all at once. It's an armored wheeler that will never pass as a priority target, but in fact, it's full of surprises. The name is the FV721 Fox. The first thing you should consider here is the size. It's only 4 meters long and half as tall and wide. For military vehicles, that's almost baby size. But in the game, it means this wheeler can hide in the most unexpected places and squeeze into nooks that regular tanks won't even look at. And sometimes this Fox can magically turn invisible right in the middle of a field. You need to pretend that you're decor to pull this off though, and avoid moving until the enemy passes. Speaking of moving, to enjoy the full potential of a small size, you need mobility, and this Brit delivers. Its rear houses an engine with almost 200 horsepower. It's enough to propel this 6-ton machine to 99 kilometers an hour. By no means a record since the game offers much faster vehicles, but few can match the Fox's acceleration. Another nice surprise is a transmission that allows it to move equally fast, both forward and in reverse. Now, what do we need for a perfect set? That's right, some firepower. But that's where this wheeler can't really boast much. It's armed with a 30mm autocannon that offers a great depression angle, reaching 14 degrees. But don't focus on the auto part of this cannon. Its rate of fire is only 80 shots per minute. On the plus side, it compensates for this meager number with the quality of its shells. Shell number 1 is a semi-armor piercing incendiary. It only offers enough penetration for light vehicles, but its good damage means you won't have to spend much time on them. The second shell is the complete opposite. A discarding sabot round can even pierce the sides of heavy tanks, but it has no explosives inside, of course. Should you encounter a heavy target, you'll need to circle around it and keep on poking it full of holes until it runs out of crew or gives up in frustration. The Fox offers a perfect set of traits for a saboteur pushing the most proactive gameplay strategies. It can help you discover numerous new positions, most of them being on the enemy side of the map, learn the internal layouts of all kinds of enemy vehicles, and of course master the Vanishing Act. All you need to do is put out some smoke and push the pedal to the metal, which you can even do in reverse gear. And when your enemy decides you quit on them, come back and resume poking their armor with your autocannon. Their patience usually runs out before your ammo does. Here it is, that Spitfire that downs enemies with no shots fired. It left the formation out of arrogance and began a frontal attack on the leading Folgore, piloted by Furio Nicolo Doglio. His wingman, Ennio Tarantola, later remembered that time froze for him at that moment, and fragments of intel and reports started to make sense. In May and June of 1942, the Italians downed at least a dozen Spitfires over Malta. But then, a mysterious new pilot appeared, and the enemies around them started exploding or falling apart mid-air, seemingly with no external force applied. Bombers, recons, fighters, none could escape them. They would always send someone down to the ground, basically every day. A bounty was put out, but their Spitfire would face them head-on every time, after which an Italian or a German fighter would blow up because, "Dodge, Furio!" Tarantola shouted. His mind suddenly pierced with a terrifying realization, and attempted to dodge himself. A hit, a hot flush of pain in the arm, air whooshing in through the shattered canopy. It was a single bullet and an indirect hit. The leader's fighter, however, never had the time to realize what was going on and exploded into a huge cloud of tiny debris. Wounded, Tarantola could not continue the battle, so he turned his Fulgurite towards Sicily and began a high-speed descent. He was shaken by the death of his commander and friend and shared a discovery with his comrades. That Spitfire pilot wasn't just an excellent flyer and a fantastic sniper. They never used tracers. That's why no one could understand why Italian aircraft were exploding mid-air left and right. But now that the mystery's been uncovered, they could be tracked down and taken out. Besides, intelligence had already identified the pilot. It was Sergeant George Burling. This meant that Tarantola had to head back as soon as his wounds healed. He simply had to find and defeat that Canadian and avenge his commander. On October 11th, 1942, Tarantola caught a Spitfire over the Mediterranean. Unfortunately, it wasn't the one he wanted. He even felt a bit awkward shooting at an obviously confused British rookie. 3 days later, an opportunity finally presented itself. A new massive raid on Malta was planned, and Tarantola was part of the fighter escort. More than 40 Junkers 88s and SM-79s, almost 60 Messerschmitts and Fulgures. The British would surely scramble an interceptor sortie, and that would be the best time. He could recognize Burling by his reckless flying and sniper fire, get closer to him, and finish him off. It almost went according to plan. The battle was furious. The British, Italian, and German aircraft formed a giant jumble, while the radio channels were filled with shouting and curses. Tarantola shot one Spitfire that lost its guard and flew into the sights, but generally kept aside trying to spot his main target. And that became his own undoing. Another invisible volley came from God knows where, and 4 cannons shot through the Fulgure's wings and engine. Motor oil sprinkled all over his canopy. The Italian cried out of frustration and again had to flee towards Sicily, hoping that his engine held long enough. Who was that unexpected long-range sniper? A rhetorical question, no doubt. Tarantola never flew above Malta again. He was transferred to Sardinia. Still, his opponent was finally hit in that battle too, probably by a Junkers gunner. He had to go to hospital with his wounds, never returning to Malta again. Both pilots had a lot ahead of them, but that's a story for another time. Each year, War Thunder introduces new precision weaponry and modern vehicles armed with all kinds of sensors and targeting systems. It's super easy to get lost in all this variety, so we'd like to help you understand various munitions and targeting devices on high-ranking vehicles. We're also working on making the gameplay more transparent and easier to understand. One of the latest major additions is a new replay camera mode that we called Sensor View. Let's see how it can help you navigate a past battle. Turning it on is simple. Launch any client or server replay and press Sensor View. The entirety of the replay window should now be rendered differently. The environment is extremely simplified. Ground, water, and sky lose all their beautiful detail that our artists spent so much time working on. Yeah, we'd better not show them this. Well, at least it helps us focus on the most important parts of a battle, like the positions of vehicles and munitions, trajectories, sensor activities, and many other types of data, from speeds and distances to available load factors and attack angles. To improve vehicle and munition visibility over long distances, this view uses high-contrast markers and special text boxes with bright frames. But even in this simplified mode, players in close proximity can have their markers intersect and cover one another. That's why we added 3 groups of filters to help you narrow down your analysis. The first group allows you to disable markers for vehicles you don't want to see. For instance, you can remove markers for your own vehicle, your allies, or your enemies, as well as all aircraft or ground vehicles. The second group does the same to sensors. You can choose groups of players to show radar systems, optical, or laser target designators. And finally, Group 3 filters out the content of munition data boxes. Keep in mind that client replays contain less data than server ones. It's a way to optimize network traffic for a smoother battle experience. A client replay can show you the activity of your aircraft's radar and the sensors of all enemies locked onto you. but it won't be able to show you the sensor activity of all other players, including your allies. If you want to analyze the full data on all vehicles, you'll need a server replay. It's easy to find in the game. Go to Community, click on Streams and Replays, and it'll open the Replays section of the official War Thunder website. We hope our players will find SensorView useful and use it for detailed analyses of high-tier battles. We're committed to improving this tool in order to make it more convenient and helpful. Don't hesitate to leave your feedback. Meanwhile, it's time for us to answer some of your questions from the comments. The first question was sent by a player called Rayofloss007. What's the difference between the T-32 and the T-32E1? Hi there. The only difference is frontal armor. The E1 is more reliable. Harka asks, why do we lose all the bushes when we change camos? It's so annoying. Can we fix that? Hello, Harka. You can use an option called Link Camouflage Decor Layout. It'll help you transfer all the decor to another camo, including bushes. Another question comes from Lepa. Which Saab 105 is the best? Hey, Lepa. It's the G version, hands down. It has a ballistic computer that improves the accuracy of all weaponry. Hey Cal writes, I've got a suggestion about the game. Where can I express this suggestion? Hello, Hey Cal. The best way is to leave it on our official forum. This is where your suggestions have the highest chance of being spotted. And the last comment for today was written by Tom Wong. Can we expect better performing shells for top-tier French tanks? They're severely underperforming compared to other nations. Hi Tom. French shells are a bit inferior to some of their classmates, but they're still good enough for damaging targets. By the way, we've recently improved the rate of fire on the Leclerc tanks to buff their performance. It should have a major effect considering that they have autoloaders. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to tell us what you think of SensorView. Leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.